Welcome to Expat Hoops. I'm Tony Budney alongside Andy Hoverman. Today we are interviewing former University of Portland player Porter Troupe about his time playing basketball professionally overseas. Porter, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about your time at University of Portland. Actually, when you were in the West Coast Conference, that was late aughts, 2006, 2008, around that time. And Gonzaga was just starting to take over the conference a little bit, but there was still a lot of competition in the middle. A lot of equivalent teams that were in there, jostling for position. What was it like in the conference at the time? What was the competition like? Because Gonzaga hadn't made the Elite Eight yet, let alone the Final Four, even though they were
Yeah.
trying to dominate the conference.
Yeah, I mean, there was Gonzaga, there was Pepperdine.
San
Loyola
Diego was
Marymount
also good.
San Diego was good back then. So, I mean, it was competitive. It was the best basketball I'd ever played, obviously, at the time, being a college kid. So you don't really – I'd played against some pros, but I mean in like an open gym setting. So that wasn't really a real look. So it was really competitive. It was fun to be away from home, obviously. University of Portland's a Catholic school, but, you have a good time and you you get around that. So I had a good time, and I still live in Portland in the summers now. I have a lot of friends there, and I love the weather. I love being there in the summer, especially. It's really green and beautiful. So I'm grateful for it all, honestly.
Yeah, when most people think of Portland, I mean, they think of Seattle and they're like, oh, it's raining all the time. But that's actually not really Portland at all, is it?
I mean, Portland's not as bad. It does rain a lot. So my freshman year, I had a nervous breakdown because I went to high school in San Diego, went to La Jolla High, and that's like amazing weather, And then I got to Portland, and from November to March, it rained every day. And
It happens.
It happens.
There is
obviously
a lot of forest there, so you're gonna have time to time.
It's green, it's really nice, it's lush. So of course the water comes from somewhere, but you're thinking you're coming from California, Southern Cal, where it rains 100 days a year, maybe.
And then it's like a passing shower.
And then it's 100 days. My first 100 days there, it's raining, and I'm like, wait. What's going on? This is different. So that took a lot out of me at the beginning, but now I enjoy it. I'm good with it.
So I think you referenced the fact that you'd played against the professionals and everything like that. When was the first time that you really thought to yourself that you could start playing professionally?
That's a good question. Maybe when I was a sophomore. I don't know. I think I was pretty delusional, so I was never really that impressed by somebody or intimidated, or even though somebody, guys are better than me or were ranked higher than me. I've had that since I was young. Like, I didn't really get intimidated by things like that. So I think it was always in the back of my mind, like, I want to do this. But, when you're a kid, you're kind of naive. You don't really know what it takes. I want to go hoop, and I want to get paid for it. And I don't care, and then you start putting in the work to try to get to that level. And then you start seeing the differences. And then it's like, oh, okay, I'm really going to have to work. But yeah, I guess my sophomore year, maybe I was like, yo, I'm good enough. Like,
so I guess the question then would be, what did you do specifically to actually start putting the plan into execution, saying, okay, I'm actually going to be a professional, and this is how I'm going to do it?
I started working out with a trainer and started learning how to work first. And I saw like a really like a boost in my game, like exponentially, in like maybe a 5-6 month period, where I got to be like pretty good to like really good fast. And I was like, oh, so it took somebody else kind of like building me up, somebody else kind of like breaking me down, and then rebuilding the foundation and giving me that kind of boost and confidence. And from then it was just like, try to be in front of as many people that matter, and get your name out like that. So, I had an agent at one point that, got me workouts and things of that nature. And then I signed a deal for not that much money, but it was an opportunity, and I wasn't going to the NBA at that time. So I was like, all right, I get to play basketball instead of, I don't know, being a teacher or whatever I was going to be, then this is cool. I'll do it, you know? And then you just go up.
So in another interview
Blue.
you did recently, you echoed some of our past guests who gave similar advice to those just starting out. Basically, you got to love the game because there will be lonely
Yeah.
nights.
Yeah.
Take us through how you got through that earlier on in your career. Obviously, you referenced it as a culture shock when you got going, but how'd you kind of weather that?
I try to get lost in the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think most guys that run into problems kind of look at things in too broad of a scope. So they're like, I'm away from everybody. I don't know anybody. It's tough. I don't like the food here. You know, I don't like the city I'm in. Like, I think people take too big a perspective of things, and it makes it a bigger monster than it is. And it's just like, look, I'm playing basketball, right? That's what I want to be doing. And I'm literally getting paid to get up in the morning, go lift some weights, shoot the ball for an hour, and then come back at night and practice. And yeah, it might suck, or I might not be having as much fun off the court, but I could be doing something a lot worse, right? I could be doing something that I don't enjoy, which most people are doing something that they don't particularly enjoy, but they need a paycheck. And I'm actually passionate about this. Not everybody has that, you know, a passion for something. So once I put it into those terms, it became easier, you know. But in the beginning, you know, you can get caught up in like, oh, I haven't seen my family in 4 or 5 months. I haven't seen my friends. I don't like the food. I don't speak the language. People are talking about me. People are staring at me, whatever, you know. So yeah, I just tried to keep a perspective on like the daily things that like I can control, like, you know, my enthusiasm, going to work, being grateful for what I'm getting myself into. And it became easy. And then, you know, fast forward, I'm in 38 and I'm still doing it, you know, which is, it doesn't seem like that, you know. It seems like I've been doing it for 5, 6 years, but really, if I look back, it's been a lot of experiences. So that's why I say I'm lucky.
And
Definitely.
I would say of the guests that we've had, you've probably spent the most time in the same league in comparison to a lot of other people who bounce around to a lot of different places. You know, they come back. We've had some people that have spent like 5 or 6 years in Italy, but it was always broken up by other stints in other places. You know, you were in Romania for a number of years, and then you left. You went to Poland. You did some time in Cyprus. You're now in Helsinki, but before that, you were in Romania for a number of years too. So my question is primarily about your time that you spent and all the time that you spent in Romania. What can you say about the Romanian league in terms of its competition? And for somebody that is in college that has a similar skill level to you do, getting into the Romanian league, what's the key to staying in that top league and in top shape and being a starter there for so long?
The key, I would say the same thing I said before. Like, you have to be grateful for what you're doing. You have to have a certain level of enthusiasm for what you're doing. You have to love what you're doing. You have to be passionate about it. I think if you know, if you have a certain level of skill, then it's about your dedication. You know, it's about how much it means to you. Like, there's a lot of guys that are really good players, but they don't really care for it. You know, they're just do it because they're talented. But like, when you can mix, I'm pretty talented at it, but I really, really, really love to do it, then you're going to work really, really hard at it. You know what I mean? And like in any job, if somebody sees that you're working really hard, they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. So that was the main thing. Obviously, I had to play well. You know, I had to be somebody that was desirable, I guess, for lack of a better word, somebody that they wanted to have. So I had to do numbers, but again, that comes from passion and dedication and work and enthusiasm and like wanting it. You know what I mean? So those are the main things, I think. And you get a little lucky. You know, you don't have any injuries really. You have good teammates that let you thrive and trust you, and you know, those things that happen along the way also. So I've had a pretty lucky career in that aspect. I've had great teammates. I've had very few injuries, and then all the other things combined, you know, then you have as many years as I played.
Which place would you say was maybe the most difficult for you to adapt, whether it's from an on-court perspective or even off-court?
Um, I guess every place has its own challenges. I think basketball is basketball, so it depends on other circumstances usually. I guess in Poland, I had a tough time because I didn't get along with the coach. So I was brought by one coach and we started badly. And then they brought in a new guy and he didn't really like me. But I was the highest paid player in the team. So it was like, it kind of stuck with me. So then he started kind of playing mind games and, a lot of other dumb stuff, which I dealt with, but it made it tough, it made coming to work a grind, like I don't really want to deal with this dude. I really don't want to hear what he has to say, and a lot of the times too, it's very rare that you get somebody that's very direct with you, like saying, hey, I don't like you, like maybe you're good on this team, but on my team, you're crap. Like it's rare that they do that. They'll make up a bunch of excuses like, oh, well, the local guys play your position and we do better when they're on the floor. So we have to play you less or whatever it can be, but they find ways to not just tell you straight, like, hey, you don't fit my system. Boom. A lot of times it's a bunch of other mumbo jumbo and you're just kind of like, why are you playing mind games with me? Like, I see I'm not playing a lot, or I see you're getting mad at me about stuff you don't get mad at other people, but whatever it may be, So I guess in Poland, I had that situation and it was tough. I also played in Lithuania on the same team that Mike Mo played on, Lukavalis.
Oh, okay.
And that was an interesting experience as well, because that management is crazy. So
and I think that's being very polite given what we remember of the story. So
they're crazy. They're crazy over there. Like, wow, they're crazy. So it is what it is.
I do have to ask you specifically because I wrote something down previously. Our guest that we had last in the show, Fowler and Campbell, specifically talked about problems with travel in Poland, and that's what the majority of his negativity surrounding Poland was his experience. But he did say he was there a few years ago, and he was saying that various infrastructure improvements were on the way in the country. Did you experience anything like that? I was just curious.
Yes.
A little bit more recently than he was.
So when was he there? I was there in 2016, I think.
It might have been about the same time.
Yeah. Okay.
So we were in a certain part of the country. So I think our closest game was 3 hours. We're taking buses.
Yep.
And I remember we had a preseason game. We were playing in Romania, actually, which is odd, but they tell us we have the game. I think, let's say it's like on a Thursday, they tell us. So on Tuesday, they're like, we have to be at the gym at 6 a.m. because we're riding a bus. I'm like, we're riding a bus where? They're like, we're going to Romania. I'm like, by bus? I'm like, yes. I'm like, okay, what city are we going to? And we're going to a city that had an international airport. And I'm like, so how much time are we going to be on the bus? Like, I don't know, 20 hours. Okay. So we get on the bus, we ride for 20 hours, we get off the bus, it's like 8 a.m, we have practice. What? 20 hours. I'm like, what is going on here? So we have practice, eat, have a game that night. I'm like, y'all are insane. You're insane. And we get beat by 35.
Well, yeah.
Well, why didn't you play better?
Yeah. We're not running back after halftime and the coach is just screaming at us and we're just looking at him like, bro, are you crazy? Like, come on.
I mean, I remember specifically, and it's interesting you brought that up too, because I always think of travel stuff. And when Virginia lost to Chaminade, it was because they had an overnight flight from Japan to Hawaii before the game. And they basically the flight was delayed and they walked off the plane. And like 3 hours later, they were in the gym.
No chance to win.
There. Yeah, no chance. And
no chance.
That's the same kind of scenario you guys were in, but it was way worse because they made you practice before the game, which was baffling. That's just baffling.
Made us practice. Then we had to go eat, had like an hour nap, and then it's like, yo, we're back to the gym. I'm like, fam,
Yeah, man.
You get nothing from me, you know, zero.
It's layup drills or GTFO. That's
Yeah.
And by the
Yeah, it
way,
was crazy.
popping in here, I looked it up for Fowler, and it was 2015 to 2016 when he played in the Polish league.
Oh, so he was there the year before me.
Yep.
Okay. A little
So about
closer
the same
than I
time.
thought. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
And
So
doesn't sound like a whole lot whole lot
No.
changed in a year, but that's really baffling. Do you have any idea why they decided to travel by bus? Was it like a cost saving measure or
It has to
Yeah,
be.
for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they're being cheap.
Yeah.
They're being cheap.
Well, that's
Simple as
what
that.
35-point losses are what being cheap will get you.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
Hey,
get
you
what
wanna
you
be
pay
cheap?
for.
You
Hey,
get
I'm gonna
what you
give you the
pay
same-
for.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the same effort you gave me on getting me here and getting me some rest. I'm gonna give you the same effort on the court.
Yep. And you already alluded to it before with Mike Morris in terms of being teammates in Lithuania. But before the pod, we were talking about Cyprus. Take us
Yes.
through your experience in Cyprus with him, right?
Yes. So I played on the same team he played on in Lithuania, but we weren't there at the same time. I was there, I think, a year or two before him. But we did play together in Cyprus. And Mike Mo's amazing guy, funny. So I think he came to Cyprus right after I think he was in Belgium the year before. I think he was in Belgium for like after March Madness. He went to Belgium like right away.
Yep.
And then I think he came to Cyprus the next year, and he lived under me. We lived in this apartment building, and he was right directly under me. So I had to see him every day. When I left the house, we got real close. He's crazy. In a good way, though. In a good way. He's hilarious. He's just.
Oh yeah.
So we had a team, a guy named Malcolm Grant on our team. Malcolm Grant, I think, went to Miami the
Sounds
year that
familiar.
Mike.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say this name is.
He was all
really
ACC that year that Mike was there. I think they're the same age. So anyway, they were roommates. Boy, they would get on some 2K or I don't know what fight night. I don't know what it was going on, and I had a balcony like right over them, so like I would go outside and just chill, and like their apartment was like was literally like my balcony was like their roof kind of. So I would just hear these two going at it till like 2 a.m, arguing over the game. I'm like, yeah, rookies. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting for sure. Yeah, Mike's a good dude though.
Yeah, and as far as on-court stuff, I know you were talking about this a little bit off the pod, but you could relay that some of the stuff about Cyprus was 100%
man.
accurate. So we'll roll that ball out there and let you take it. So tell us about playing on court in Cyprus.
All right, so we had I think Mike kind of told this story a little bit. So we were playing there was one where he was talking about the flares and the whatever those like little cherry bombs they're throwing at us in layup lines, which was insane. And we ended up losing that game and like almost couldn't get out of the gym. Crazy. But we're playing the finals, and we ended up losing in the finals that year. And it's game 4, and we're at home. And our own fans start throwing cherry bombs and flares on the court at us and at the other team in the last 30 seconds when they were about to win. It was crazy. They had to huddle us up in the corner of the gym. Security all around us. Insane. They're trying to get on the court. Wild, yo. Unbelievable. They tried to attack us on the court. Like, I think game 3 of that finals, there was like a fight between the staff, like our staff, and like the refs. And then I think our strength coach or our assistant coach smacked their strength coach, something like that. When we're shaking hands, crazy. Crazy. He smacks them in the line, right? So first of all, we lose the game, and our fans. So the team that we played for in Cyprus was Apoel. So if you look up Apoel, they're the biggest club on that island. Mm-hmm. So, for example, their soccer team plays Champions League, right? So everywhere you go, you either have Apoel like spray painted, or you have Apoel with an X through it. Like, so it's us against everybody else. So all the rest of the island hates us. So we would go out to, like, let's say we went to a club. They would know us. Oh, Apoel players, blah, blah, blah. Like, so it was that kind of situation, right? So we're playing game 3 of the finals, and we end up losing. and our president is standing like kind of like in this hallway. So I see him on the court and I'm like, oh, he's pissed, you know, because we're losing this game or whatever. As soon as the game's over, he runs on the court and starts arguing with the refs, like crazy, right? On the floor, he's screaming at the refs, right? While we're like kind of like going to shake hands. So at this point, their crowd gets angry that he ran on the court like that. And they start whistling and going nuts. So they start coming. So this court is kind of like a pit. So like the fans are like kind of above you, if you can imagine that. Okay. So like you have the floor and you just have like the media people and like, you know, the announce table, but you don't have any of the stands. The stands are above you on like a ramp above you. So these people are jumping down onto the court from there because they're mad about him running on the court. So they're like, so it's a frenzy at this point. So we're like trying to shake hands and we see all this going on. As soon as like I beeline to the locker room, I turn around and it's commotion. I don't know what's going on. And at this point, I think this is when my assistant coach smacked their trainer or something, right? And they start fighting, and then the fans start trying to attack us, and they like push us into this hallway. So we're like on this hallway corridor looking, and like people are running by, fighting, and firecrackers and all this going on, and we're just looking like, man, we just lost the finals game. We got to sit here. We got to worry about if we can get out of here alive. Like it's crazy. Like it was insane, yo, unbelievable.
Ooh.
Boy,
Unbelievable.
I mean, your own fans trying to throw stuff at you. I think that's the first that I've heard that before.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I know, you know, everyone's like, oh, you know, in American sports, booing is considered like poor sportsmanship. And everyone's like, oh, why are you booing the guy? Blah, blah. And then you hear stories like that and you're like, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I got booed. Boo's cool.
Yeah. Wow.
I'll be all right.
New York Mets fans are booing the Mets. Oh no, what a shame.
Yeah, that's light. Take that. Crazy, yo. It was wild. It was an experience for sure.
So would you say that's probably the craziest overseas experience that you've had?
With fans?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike can tell you
actually
this.
had to think about that.
I like the direction we're about to go here, by the way. But we'll say in terms of fans, is this the craziest?
So Mike Mo and I played against each other after we were teammates. We played in the Euro Challenge Final Four. So we played for bronze. We both ended up losing our Final Four game, and we had to play for the bronze. So after our game, they play the gold medal game. So it's us, Frankfurt, Mike's team, team Nanterre from France, and a team called Trap Zone from Turkey. So this Turkish team was hosting the event. So it was in Turkey. And after the game, you know, we have like VIP. We got our medals. We beat Mike. So when he sees this, he can be upset. Got that. But we're all kind of just chilling, like in like the VIP watching the final game. And I flew my mom out there to be there with me. So my mom is there, and we're watching the game or whatever. It's a close game. Mind you, the gym is full, and the Turkish team is hosting it. So it's a home game basically for them. So it's 10,000 angry Turkish guys screaming and yelling, right? And one of my teammates was Turkish. So it starts going badly for the Turkish team. They start losing, right? So it's like maybe a minute left, and he's like, bro, if they lose this game, it's going to be a problem in here. I'm like, you sure? He's like, if I were you, I'd grab your mom and I'd go to the tunnel, man, and let's just go watch it from the tunnel. I'm like, all right. So we go to the tunnel. So the Turkish team ends up scoring with like 7 seconds left. Go up 1. Place is pandemonium, loud. I'm like, oh, this is about to be dope, right? They're gonna start singing songs and you know all that. I'm here for that, and like I'm really excited for my mom to see this. You know, call the timeout, boom, 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 drop a play. The French team ends up scoring like on a buzzer beater, like crazy buzzer beater. Turkish team, they're heartbroken. Obviously, guys are crying. Yo, these fans started breaking the chairs, throwing the pieces of the chair on the court, throwing batteries. Hey, unbelievable. And me and my mom are in the tunnel like, yo, this is crazy. And these French guys, they're all so happy. They all ran in the middle of the court. They're all hugging. They're getting stuff thrown at them. It was wild, yo. So that's another one.
God.
Unbelievable, yo.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You
Overseas basketball.
You might
Yeah.
have the second best stories outside of Shane Lawal, and I don't think anyone's actually gonna, because the
Yeah.
Civil War never broke out where you were playing.
Yeah, you missed that. We were talking about that before you hopped on.
Yeah.
But,
I know that story. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, but
No, that's crazy.
that's a lot. Like, man, breaking the stadium chairs and
Yeah, they were breaking the chairs, like shaking them,
Jeez.
breaking them, and like throwing pieces of the chairs onto the court. And you know, my team, we were like under the tunnel. We're just sitting there like, yo, this is insane. And it lasted for probably like 3 or 4 minutes, and then they stopped. And you know, security was going crazy, and then they actually ended up clapping for the French team. But it's like, yeah, after you tried to kill them, I think you owed them something.
Yeah, that's just
Good
about
job.
the least you
Good
can.
job,
That's literally
guys.
like the least you can do.
Yeah, so it was crazy though, for sure.
Oh my god.
Yeah, man.
Man. All right, so you're currently in Helsinki. I assume it's a little bit more stable than that. You didn't
Yes.
have,
Yes.
you also, I'm sure you also had COVID restrictions. So have you played in front of fans while you're in Helsinki?
Yeah, so the beginning of our season, we played with fans until December, and then after December, they shut it down. So we were in the semifinals. We actually just lost yesterday, broken heart. But we played. They had some fans there. So Finland is broken up into regions where there's varying levels of like COVID restrictions based off of, because it's pretty. I think in the whole country, it's like 300 cases a day. But it's obviously per, I think, 100,000 people. So there's only like 600 people in Finland, or 6 million people in Finland. So 300 cases a day is a little.
Yeah, it's a little more significant than 300 cases a day in a place like the U.S., the whole country, and all that.
Right. So the place that we were playing yesterday, that area has like no cases at all. So they had a few fans, but here in Helsinki, we couldn't have any fans at all since December. Tough. Yeah,
that's rough. A lot of people have had somewhat similar experiences in some other leagues. A couple of players that we've had that have played in Iceland's professional leagues, they've had several shutdowns where they just had to come back. Yeah, stop start. Like they've been their season's been going on. What is it? Since October. And they had 2 separate shutdowns related to COVID.
Well, and it's weird too, because I think that the women's league is shut down separately than what the men's league did, and also the amount of games outstanding for both of them, you know, and the efforts that they're going to go through to play one of them, but not the other one. And so it's all over the place from this end of it.
And they're shutting down over like 6 cases. Or something like that. Which, you know, Iceland, small nation, 300, 400,000 people, I think is something like their population, most of which in Reykjavik. But still, you know, it makes it puts things in perspective when you look at the United States, and we've had sports ongoing since the middle of last summer. Granted, you know, in a lot of cases, a lot of NHL just is now getting fans back in a lot of their venues, and the NBA went through their bubble season and all that kind of stuff, but there were still COVID outbreaks amidst the players themselves. A lot of those games had to be canceled. MLB is having some issues with that with the Nationals recently. So we have had our share of issues here.
For sure.
It's fortunate that you haven't really had to experience a lot of your own COVID shutdown related issues in Helsinki, at least.
Yeah, we had one. For like 3 weeks, they shut the league down. But to be honest, it's been pretty free here. Like I've been able to go to restaurants until the middle of March, and then they had to shut down the restaurants. So now we can't go to restaurants. We can only get food to take away. But most of the season, I could go out. I could go to a bar. It was pretty normal here.
Wow.
I think it's one of the better countries, like in terms of where it's.
For sure.
Where it is with the COVID.
But,
I think they have a really slow vaccination rollout, though.
Yeah,
so that's why
that's the issue with a lot of countries. I know Chile, the United States, Israel are countries that have had a quick vaccination rollout in addition to the UK. But a lot of other countries outside of that, they're just now starting to get their people vaccinated. I know Japan, in relation to the Olympics, they're hoping to get a lot of their population vaccinated by July, but they're just last month, they started rolling out vaccinations for the most at risk people. So it's
Ooh, that's
difficult
gonna
with
be
that
tough.
everywhere. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
That's gonna be tough.
For sure. So, but it's with all the variants that are going around too, there's always that worry. I know
Yeah.
you said you lost in the semifinals. Is this
Mhm.
the end of your season? Is that essentially it for your stint
We
there?
we have to play on Thursday
Hmm.
for third place, which is
Consolation, yeah.
terrible. But
So
so
they
we
give you a
were,
little medal for that or anything? Do you get any kind of hardware, or is it just
yeah, we get a
parting
bronze
gifts?
medal. We'll
Mm.
get a bronze medal. I'll throw it
Okay.
in the water somewhere.
Okay.
I don't care about it.
There you go. There's
We
our
had
next giveaway on Expat Hoops, a bronze
yeah,
medal.
yeah. I'll send it to y'all, man. I don't need it. Not excited about that. We were in first all year too, which is crazy. We were dominating the league, like dominant,
Oh, man.
and then just gave away 3 games in the series. Like just gave them away, like winning the whole game, and then last minute just fumbled the money. Like had it in your hands, and then just oh no, don't want it.
Just like
Game
that
time.
medal that you're going to try to win.
Yeah, hey, that try to skip it on the river. It's crazy, man.
What are your plans for after Helsinki? We talked previously. You're 37, 38 years old. You're still active. You're still in a lot of ability. I guess, have you thought about whenever the day comes when it's time to shut it down and what that's going to be like?
I think about it every day.
Yeah.
Honestly, and I don't know what I want to coach.
Mhm.
I want to coach. I feel like I have a lot of knowledge. I feel like I've seen a lot of situations. I feel like I have a lot I can give to the game. I feel like I have a unique perspective. So I want to do that. Obviously, that coaching is something that you need to learn how to do at the head coaching level. So I would like to be an assistant somewhere and learn the ropes from somebody, and try my hand in that. But I also want to do other things too, and I'm trying to like figure out, like, I don't want to just be known for being in basketball my whole life. Like, I love it and I'm passionate about it, but I do kind of want to round out like my portfolio, I guess. Like I do kind of want to just have different things going on, and I'm trying to figure out like what that is. So I'm thinking about it every day and brainstorming and trying to like find another lane that appeals to me, that speaks to me. But it's tough, man, because part of being a pro is being singularly focused and like worrying about the day to day and trying to stay in the moment, like trying to be prepared for the next game, especially we're in playoffs now. So it was like an extreme amount of focus required, and energy. And I think now with the season being over soon, I'll have time to just kind of like be to myself and be with my thoughts, and we'll see. But the way we lost yesterday, I don't know if I want to be done playing because of the way we lost yesterday and how I feel. And, like if we would have won this season, I would have been done. I would have been, that's it, right off into the sunset. But losing the way we lost.
Left to prove.
Yeah, I just have a chip on my shoulder still. I guess that's another reason I've played so long. I'm very competitive, and like, yeah, I just feel like it's still raw, it was yesterday, but it's just still kind of like, you know what I mean? So we'll see.
Yeah, so actually that's a really interesting question. So as it stands right now, you're interested in coming back for another season somewhere, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And I guess the other question then would be, since you've played in quite a number of places, are there any places that you're looking at saying that I would really either like to go back to, or even that you haven't played before? Or are you just indifferent? Just want to play another season?
That's a good question. I want it to be a situation where I have either a chance to win it all, or I can just mentor a young group. I don't want any in between. I don't want to be on a team that's like pretending that we're going to win something, you know, because a lot of teams are doing that. A lot of teams are pretending that they're trying to be competitive, but they really aren't. They're good with being fourth. And those are, I think, are the most frustrating situations because there's not a lot of movement available for people in that. Like teams at that level are going to try to get you the next year, and then you're kind of stuck in that. So it's like you either want to be on a really, really good team, or you want to be in a situation where you can help develop something and they have more of a long-term investment in you. So I think those are the only two things that appeal to me. So it just depends, you know, like what my agent says, you know, like, oh, we have this opportunity for you, or we have that opportunity, you know, like if it's just an opportunity where it's like, you're going to have to do a lot and you still might not get it done, like realistically, then I don't know if I have the energy for that. But like in this situation where I was this year, where it was like, I could kind of be the vet with the American guys. We had older Finnish guys and they were ready to win now. So that it was like, that to me, it was stress-free. Like I knew, like come to practice, be on your stuff, be on your job, you know, play solid and it'll be good. You know, they'll be very professional with you. Some places it's like that team that Mike Moe was talking about in Lithuania. They know they're not going to win. They know, right? But they delude themselves into thinking that they have a chance to get second or third. And if they don't get second or third, they're firing people left and right. But it's like, what is the point of trying to get second or third? I want to win or not. Like, so you're going to fire me because we're in fourth instead of third? Why? What's the difference? Like, are we trying to win or are we trying to like just be out here? So at my age now, that would be extremely frustrating, you know, getting an opportunity like that. I would be like, nah, I'm good. You know, I don't need that. But
So you want to go somewhere and you want to win. That's
or
the basic
or
idea.
or they
At least
know they're
try.
not going to win.
Yeah.
Or they know
Okay.
they're not going to win and they don't put that on you. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we're supposed to be doing better than this. We're trying to, like, you can go to a place where they pay you a decent amount and it's like, yo, we're just trying to like develop our club, you know? So it's not a lot of pressure to win. It's like either we're the favorite to win or there's not a lot of pressure to win. But that in between space is the most frustrating for any athlete, you know, and I don't want that at my age. Like I don't need any more gray. I don't need any of that. So that's the quickest way to get that, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
So I was going to ask you this question. I know that you mentioned it. I think it was in terms of Cyprus, where everybody knows who you are on the island, and I'm going to kind of nickname this one the "I'm big in wherever," basically, where you're give an idea to some of our listeners about some of your experiences, whether it's in Cyprus or elsewhere, where you know what the reaction is to you as a basketball player, like if you're well known, you know, or what that experience is like. We've heard from some people. I think Fowlerin was the last one in Italy where he's talking about like, you know, you've got like little kids that are essentially taking on what the adults are saying, and they'll taunt you just like the adults. So I mean, like, kind of give an environment, an idea of the environment around some of the places that you've played.
Yeah. Yeah, it can vary, right? So you can be in a really big city and they don't give two craps about basketball and you're anonymous and you're just walking around a big city. Or you can be in a small town and the basketball team is everything and you can't go to the store. You know, I've had both experiences in my career, honestly. In Cyprus, our team was the biggest thing there for basketball. And yeah, like if we went out, everybody in the city knew and our whole management knew. Like if we went out to the club, let's say, the whole management and staff knew the next day because the bouncers and all these other people talked about it and it was being talked about. Like, so that can be a gift and a curse, right? But I'm pretty friendly. So like, I don't really mind it. I just like my privacy. So like if I'm, let's say with family or people like that, I don't necessarily want that, but it's not that bad to me. It could be a lot worse.
Yeah. So the last one that we're going to get into, I don't know if you actually saw this on the Google Doc before I put it on there, but this is going to be our listener question. Shane L wants to know who is the prettiest jumper in the group chat.
Oh, wow. He should be ashamed of himself even asking that. You're talking to him, man. Come on. Obviously. Duh.
Oh, well, what's your answer? Because he actually even gave me some insight. He basically charted out your answers here. So what is your answer here? Who's got the prettiest one in the group chat?
Me.
No, I think he says no. Difference between best and prettiest. I think he's trying to stake out that he's got the prettiest, but you have the
I know
best.
what he's trying to do, but he doesn't have the prettiest nor the best jumper in the group.
Oh, he definitely said he did not lay claim to the best. He says you're a sniper, your shot is gross. So there's no question there who's best. He was trying to stake out the claim to prettiest, but
he can't have it.
You're gonna have the last word here, so that's just gonna have to be how it is.
That's a negative.
Yeah, I figured that was probably where we're going, but those are always good when we have the listener questions. So
he's a fellow lefty though, so I'll give him that. He's got at least he's a lefty.
Okay.
So at least.
All right.
At least.
That means we've talked to at least 3 lefties in the podcast then, because we've had Will Thomas here too. So
I'll try to
Will, Mike,
yeah, that's right. Mike is one.
Mike is a lefty, so that's 4.
Yeah.
Delroy. You had Delroy, right?
Yeah.
Delroy James.
Dell's a lefty? Do we only talk to left-handers on this podcast?
Maybe.
Is this a left-handed basketball podcast? That's a new idea.
Yeah.
The lefty podcast.
Yep. We're really getting down in a niche. Lefties that have played overseas.
Yeah, this is the Ned Flanders left-handed store of basketball podcast.
Yep. Thanks for watching this episode of Expat Hoops. We have a lot more videos. You can find one recommended for you here or some general area down here. Subscribe to our channel. Helps us out. Helps you out. Lets you know when there's new content. Not only are the podcasts that we actually put online that are video, we also have audio through the By George Podcast Network, which you can find on outlets like Apple, Spotify, pretty much you name it, it's there. But subscribing helps you out. You get to see the videos that won't make audio podcasts. We have Expat Extras, which there are some stories that don't make our podcast that are pretty awesome. You would miss out on those if you didn't subscribe to our YouTube channel, didn't check us out on our YouTube channel. By now, I think you get it. You're going to want to subscribe right down here. Thank us later.